Hey there, welcome back to my tiny London flat. When your entire flat is just 140 square feet and your kitchen is basically a 5x2 foot counter, you have to get creative. Today, I'm showing you exactly how I manage with no oven, barely any counter space, and my trusty air fryer. Let me give you a quick tour of my kitchenette. This $50 air fryer is my substitute oven and all-around lifesaver. My trusty pot and pan, they handle everything from pasta to stir fries. Most flats will come with a microwave, which I usually reserve for cooking sweet potatoes. And if you're wondering where my fridge is, it's inside of a cabinet. My fridge is tiny, so I can't store much food. That's why my meals tend to be simple with just a few ingredients. Since I go to the grocery store so often, I started buying myself flowers. They sell them at the front. And I found it really did a lot for making my space seem so much more put together and a place that I just enjoyed being in. Now that you've seen my space, let's start cooking. The meal that I eat the most is pasta. The sauce is made with tomatoes, spinach, peppers, which I cut up first, plus pesto, and for some reason all these ingredients are way cheaper in London than they are in America. I was shocked when I tried to make the same meal in the US and all the ingredients were more expensive even with the exchange rate. Pesto has no business being this expensive. Anyway, back to cooking. I put all the veggies in the pan and then saute the veggies until they're pretty soft. While that's going, I'm also boiling water for the pasta, and sometimes I'll air fry some salmon to add to the mix. Most of my recipes I learned from cooking with friends, but I have a couple that I've adapted from watching on YouTube. I'm using this recipe by Flo Lum, starting off with shrimp and green onion wontons. The shrimp I got from Waitrose, and I'm cutting that up. Wontons are probably the most complicated recipe that I'm gonna cook in this. You might be surprised to see that I do have space on my counter for a small cutting board. Here I am cutting the green onions, and it's a tedious process, but it also is kind of meditative. It might be cheaper in terms of my time to go out and buy a meal, but I enjoy cooking. The wonton wrappers and most of the sauces are from my local Asian grocery store. I've already mixed the shrimp and green onion filling together with whatever sauces I had in my kitchen. Honestly, for every recipe I make, the sauce is always some mix of soy sauce, oyster sauce, or hoisin. I don't really taste the difference most of the time. Grated ginger, salt, pepper, and sesame oil. Plus one of those chicken flavor cubes. Now it's time to put everything into the wonton wrapper. Funny thing, my family doesn't actually eat wontons at home. Dumplings, yes. Wontons, only when we travel to China. The only difference I can tell is the shape. And honestly, wontons are way easier to make. Plus, the soup is so much tastier. Folding them is pretty simple. First I put the two edges together. And I wrap it around. And it's like a little hat. After folding some wontons, I made the broth. Just water, one of those chicken flavor cubes that melt into broth, smashed ginger, smashed garlic cloves, soy sauce, sesame oil, and a little pepper. Once it started boiling, I let it simmer for 10 minutes so all the flavors could mix together. I'm halfway through making these, and look, this one is shaped kind of like a little butt. This is cute. Then I threw in the first batch, about 12 wontons. I added the Chinese spinach, and then these are pretty much done once they start floating. This is what it ended up looking like, which I think is not bad. It's still really hot, and I'm gonna let it cool a bit while I finish making some of these wrappers. Originally, I was going to do a wonton making night with some friends, but I decided it would be safer for me to try it all out at home and make sure I had all the ingredients and knew exactly how to do it and how much time it would take before I brought on other people to make it with me. This is maybe my 5th time making wontons, but they're already feeling pretty easy. The only reason I even learned to make these is because I got pulled into tasting recipes for a dim sum pop-up with a friend of a friend. And let me tell you, I quickly realized I had no business running a food pop-up, but at least I walked away with this recipe. Now I can teach it to my friends. I really enjoy cooking with friends because I always learn a new recipe. Yeah, this is kind of meditative even for me, just to sit at home and film and make wontons. A really good friend of mine says that she cooks because it is a form of relaxation and meditative for her. I think it's valuable to know how to spend time by yourself. It's pretty good.
The soup could have a bit more of a chicken flavor. I don't know if the chicken stock actually flavored it much or if this is more water than anything else. Spinach is good. Alright, I'm happy.
Not everything I make needs cooking. Sometimes just cutting up some fruit makes me feel like I have my life together. I'll call a friend a lot while I'm cutting because I can just put my phone on speaker. It's a nice way to make time for talking to friends without rushing. Otherwise, I'm usually on the go. I think there's something important about chatting with friends about the mundane stuff. Not every call has to be a life update.
I should write the things I'm happy about. So, things that, oh my god, I'm grateful for.
My go-to air fryer recipe is fish mango and rice. Rice I'll cook separately in my big pot. I usually add double the amount of water as rice to the pot, then turn the heat to low once it starts boiling. And once it looks fluffy, it's ready. Optional, you can stir fry the mango with sesame oil before you put it in the air fryer. This makes it a little more caramelized, and I think it gives it more flavor. And the fish I dip in a sauce. The sauce is just sesame oil, soy sauce, rice vinegar. Cover both sides in the sauce before putting it into the air fryer, which I'll cook for about 9 minutes. You can put the mango on top of the fish and cook them at the same time. There's not much prep involved, it's easy to cook, pretty hands-off, and I can store the rice for another meal. The easiest is to get chicken breasts from M&S, which has this really good deal. I put that in the air fryer for 9 to 12 minutes, and that's it.
Going to eat these 3 chicken breasts.
I can go a whole day just eating chicken breasts, and after I'm done, I don't even have to do the dishes because I can throw away the foil. When you have a small space, you have to think about where to store food. I like eating wraps a lot because they don't take up that much space in my fridge, and they're simple to heat up. If I make my own wraps, they're usually rice and chicken. One last thing I wanted to talk about are microwave meals. This is actually how I had my first Sunday roast beef dinner in the UK. Yep, from a microwave meal. You can do a lot with just a microwave. When I used to eat them straight from the container, it felt a bit sad. So now I plate my food, even if it's just for me. It's one extra dish to wash, but it makes me feel like I'm actually treating myself a little better. Like, you're worth the extra plate. By the way, I think my studio was meant for someone who eats out a lot and only needs to heat leftovers. I'm lucky I have a hob at all. By the way, hob is a UK term. Never heard it before in America. We call it a stove. There you have it. That's how I managed to feed myself in one of London's tiniest kitchens. It's not glamorous, it's not gourmet, but it worked for that chapter of my life. Whether you're dealing with a tiny space, navigating a new city, or just trying to make the most of your current situation, it's all about adapting and enjoying the little things along the way. If you like this video about managing space in my tiny flat, then you might like my other one about tidying up. My channel is all about practical living tips, making progress with what you have, and finding ways to enjoy life's adventures. If that's your vibe, subscribe and join the journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.